It's time for Coming in Hotter, Sens post-game show. It's time.
Live from the Sports Interaction Studios, it's Coming in Hotter. I'm Brent Wallace with my special super duper guest, Carter Hutton. Glad to have you aboard, sir.
Yeah, good to be here. Good to be here. Honestly, a Saturday, what do you got for me? Are you going to apologize right away?
So basically, I don't know what I need to pay you, but it won't be enough. I'm sorry, and I don't know how we swindled you into this.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm excited. Obviously, the boss man, Amo, reached out, and I said for Brent, I said, no problem, because you know what? I was a little – honestly, if this was a few days ago, I might have said no, but since I've got my new coffee mug here on display, I said, you know what? I'm glad. I'll gladly get on here. I don't have any coffee yet. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't taken it for a test drive.
Can't say no once you get the mug. Good thing you got that before I asked, I guess. We'll get into the game because the Sens, I'm sure you have lots of comments, but they go an awful long time without a shot on goal, but still pull out an overtime victory thanks to Tim Stützle. They have now gone 3 straight games to overtime. They're not getting a lot of shots. Carter, just give me your quick impressions or thoughts on this game.
Boring at times. Very boring.
It started great.
You know what? At times, it's just the defensive zone for me is worrisome. And a play that I think I would highlight if I'm looking at the Sens game. And again, it's a win. And, you know, I try not to listen to – you know what happens when you're watching a game and I'm listening to who Mike Johnson I think is great? You kind of get swayed by their opinions of the game too at times, right? And I feel like I'm trying to take it from a neutral standpoint. But at times I feel like, you know, you find a way to get there. You find a way to win, which is important because throughout 82 games, it's about getting the 2 points. But then there's times where the puck watching was horrible in the D zone. And a shot for me that really stands out was late in the third period, about 5 minutes left. Drysdale gets a one-timer from the top of the circles. There's a play behind the net. It goes up top to him. And if you watch that clip, there's 5 guys below the hash marks just puck watching. And that's where, that's like losing hockey, in my opinion, right? That's just, those are the ones that are going to come back and bite you. And at times it felt like they weren't playing to win. They were playing to survive. Yeah. That's the way that I felt throughout that game at times.
I don't argue with you. You can't play this style continuously and expect to put up W's. And I know they've gotten points now, 4 straight games. Without Brady, they're 6-3-1. I get all of that. But at some point, is it going to come back to hurt them? The last 3 games, the shots on goal, 17, 22, and today they had 13.
Yeah. And I think they get off the hook a bit with an early lead. You know, it kind of gives you that false sense of you get a 2-0 lead, a false sense of security. And Ersson hasn't been great. He's just coming back. If that's Dan Vladar in that, is that the same, result? I don't know. I guess it is concerning for me, to be totally honest with you.
I think they need somebody. I understand Brady's coming back here, probably another 10 to somewhere between 10 and 15 games. I think they need someone else in that lineup. They switched the lines up today. Out goes Curtis McDermott. In comes Ole Lycksell. The lines get all juggled. Zetterlund's now in a top 6 role. Greg's on the top line. But they still didn't generate. I mean, obviously, they went over 23 minutes without a shot on goal. They didn't generate much. And just so we're clear, I understand they got the win, and it's 2 points, and that's amazing because that's all you want in the NHL. But there's something missing from this group. It just seems like they lack scoring.
Yeah, they do right now too. And when you look at that lineup, I think for me, it's the fact of, what's that now for Pinto? 6 games or 7 games without a goal, right? And he's still got a lot of goals. So it looks good on when you look at the stats of the team, you're like, Pinto's been having a great year. But as of late, you look at his game log, he hasn't been producing. He's been getting assists, but if you're going to have that lack of goal production go away, who picks it up, right? Timmy Stützle obviously finds the back of the net today, which is important. Yep. But moving forward, who is going to, when you look in that bottom 6, it starts to get a bit worrisome. I think Eller isn't the same player that we've expected him to be for a long time, too. I think, David Perron is getting long in the tooth. I think Perron can still create. He's still, a good playmaker. Obviously, makes a great play in traffic today, which I think is concerning when you start to look at the grind of the season and how long is Tkachuk going to be gone for and where else is the offense going to come from, Brent?
And hey, Michael Amadio may have 50 goals by the end of the season. He has now scored in 3 straight games. He looks really good. He just does all the little things right. And we rave, like Jason York has raved about him for a couple of years, but he is one of those guys that becomes invaluable in your roster.
Yeah, he is like a meat and potatoes kind of guy when you look at this lineup. And for me, that goal going into, like, obviously on the other side of it, the back check by Tibbet is horrible. I don't know how much you watch the other side of it too. I just try to watch from a neutral standpoint and analyze it. You know, I think he does a great job of getting into a hard area, having the patience through a busy part of the rink, and finishing on that play. My concern is like where this team goes from that 2-0 leads. It's like their game changed, though. Do you not feel that way? Like, I feel like the game tipped on its edge a bit when they got the early lead. Then it becomes safer, and it felt like they were just hanging on for dear life against a Flyers team who is known for good defense, right? They're one of the better defensive teams in the league. But come on, we're talking about the Philadelphia Flyers here, too. Holds you to 13 shots on goal and 20 shot, Brent.
I get you. Like, and it's funny, and they still managed to pull out the W, but you're right. I think the shots were 4-0 and they were leading 2-0. And then it just became, I don't know what it was. It's almost like start the plane. We got the dads on board. We'll get back to Ottawa with the win. Like it was, no, I need you to play the next 55 minutes or whatever it is to finish out this game. That's the only thing. But Philadelphia plays a tough defense. They just play that. Jacques Lemaire would have loved the Philadelphia Flyers today.
Yeah, I think so. That is like the way that, I guess that consists. So I think this is a good brand, though. When you look at the Philadelphia Flyers, I think there's still fingerprints of John Tortorella on this team. When you look at the way that he demanded from these young guys to be that way, it's almost like a good transition. I think if you're an organization, you have Tortorella come in there. He takes all the bullets, right? He deals with all the crap. He gets these guys to play a certain way and have a bunch of non-negotiables in these talented players. And then you get a players coach come in like Tocchet, who's going to help guys, maybe blossom a little bit more, get to understand the league. And, for the Ottawa Senators, I think you could take a page out of that, right? Is to be that grind defensively and making it hard. And then having that upside of creativity when you do cross the offensive blue line to make things happen. I think Batherson played well at times today. I thought he was a difference maker. It felt like when they Zetterberg hit the post there on that one play when Earson gets his pad out, it felt like it wasn't going to be their day at that point. Because then the ice just felt like it kept tipping and tipping the other direction.
You know what? I'll get back to it. Jordan Spence, by the way, one of the other changes in the lineup, Jordan Spence gets back in. I thought he was noticeable. And I know everybody's got him under a microscope right now because they want to see what he can do when he's in there because he seems to make stuff happen. And people are excited to see what he can do. Your thoughts on what Jordan Spence was able to put together today?
I thought it was consistent. I thought it was decent. He's a guy for me that it's going to take some time, right? This is he played just over 17 minutes is a pretty good haul for a D-man, coming into the lineup. It's a tricky situation in this sort of game too, right? Like you're with your dads. And I guess maybe I'm a bit biased because I've been on many father's trips, right? Where the simplicity of what goes on the road and you're in a tricky situation, but now all of a sudden you bring your family involved. And I'll tell you, last night, they weren't just going to bed. They were hanging out. There's more that goes into it. There was probably a few good dinners. There's beers. There's everything that goes into it. So there's a lot more pressure on something like that. But I think he is a guy that is ready to take a step forward. My only concern with him is just size, right? At his size, is he able to play, if he's not playing, offensive minutes in the D zone when it gets in the grind and the spin cycle of being down low, is he strong enough to battle at his size? I guess that's my only concern watching a game like today. But is that just my perception of today because it's so tilted at times where Philly just had them hemmed in their end?
He did have a couple. I want to say he sat somebody down and then he made another strong defensive play. But here we are looking like he's under a microscope. So we're watching every play he makes. I do like his game. I don't want him to come out of the lineup, if I'm being honest. But I don't know. Like Frankie Crowder was on the show the other day, right? We keep asking defensemen what they think and what they see with the defensemen. I don't see Nick Jensen coming out of this lineup.
No.
And that's what I think people want to see. Spence take Jensen's spot and Matt and Paolo go back to playing with Clevin.
Does that even it out though? You think that bottom pairing more?
No. Well, I like Matt and Paolo and Clevin together because when you're playing in those bottom two lines, you get bigger, stronger, heavier players, you've got to make decisions, right? And so
Yes.
you can get guys along the board. And I'm with you. I don't know if Spence. My concern is what happens that one time something happens and he allows like the Islander goal, and I'll defend him on the Islander goal, but what happens when he allows a game-winning goal?
Yeah. Where does he fall in the lineup then, right? And there's always going to be exchangeable guys in and out of the lineup, right? There's also there's like lineup justification players, right? And this is something that always made. So one time I was negotiating a contract where the heck was I? In Nashville, right? Yeah, I bounced around too much. And I remember my agent saying to me that David Poyle told him, well, we're going to wait and see how the season goes because Carter would be like an easy change to make to like uphold to management. And you see this all the time in the playoffs where a team wins or loses. There's always one guy that comes in and out of the lineup. And it feels right now like Spence is that guy. And it's almost like justification to a coaching staff that like we're making changes. We're trying to evolve. We're trying to do something where I think it's also valuable for a guy at his age, 24, you're kind of coming into your own. Maybe a bit more of a leash might help him, right? Like Nick Jensen is who he is, right? At this point, I don't really think he's going to get any better than what he brings to the table. Whereas Spence, is there more of an upside where if he gets a little bit more confidence? And again, like how often do we see with defensemen? It takes a little longer. It takes a little more time. Like you need to have experience to go with the skill set, right? Granted, we've seen, Hudson and McCarr and these younger guys make that jump, but for the majority of normal, non-generational style players, it takes time taking your bumps and bruises, Brent.
I'm trying to look this up. I think those 13 shots on goal, and I'm all the way back to the 2021-22 season, is the second fewest they've had. Justin S., of course, a win with 13 shots on net. How is that possible? They played against San Jose. If you guys remember that game, 2024, November 27th, they won that game 4-3 with 11 shots on goal. Today ties with Dallas on January of this year, 2025, for fewest shots, at least in the last 5 seasons. And they've won like with 13 shots on goal. Just don't keep trying to do this. The one thing that didn't win, my parlay today, as this segment is brought to you by Sports Interaction. We'll take a look. Like this is, man, I couldn't be more wrong today. Sportsbook and casino. Every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. Bet the action on every period, every shift, every shot with Canada's homegrown sportsbook. Sports Interaction, Ontario only. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Carter, here's my embarrassment. I picked the Sens to win, and I thought Shane Pinto would score a goal. I thought they might have more goals today because it's Philadelphia. You never know with the goaltending. And Drake Batherson, 2 shots on goal. I only got 1 of the 4 today.
Well, that's not a good
parlay.
parlay.
I got total goals over. They had 5.
Over, yeah, you got that too. Anytime. I don't mind the Pinto bet. Like he felt due. And I brought that up when I first came on because it feels like the hot start, but he's still a guy that can get it done, right? I thought this was going to be something that, I thought he would have got one today too. I don't mind that bet, but that's obviously a long shot, anytime scorer.
Yeah.
How many shots did Batherson end up with?
He had 1.
He only had 1, eh? Because didn't he have that? He had the chance in the second. Was that the second when he went to his backhand and Earson was like full out splits? That was in the second because I think that was their last shot before the 23-minute run
for the drought. Yeah.
The drought, the old Philly drought.
Shane Pinto has at least one chance every game to have a 10-bell chance to score every game. He did it against Boston. He's like every time he just misses occasionally or puts it in whatever. But that guy seems like he could score at any moment.
Imagine how they're feeling right now in the Flyers dressing room too. I know this is a Sens show and it's like that, but I'm like thinking about my experiences in playing and like you like walking in that room and you're like going to get to see your dad and you just like stole 2 points for no reason at all. I felt like for the longest time they were going to lose that game. And then it's like once they got late in the game, it's like they're going to win because they're just going to get a shot and score, right?
Those games are, they become entertaining. All right, every game is your game. When you bet with Sports Interaction, from puck drop to overtime, bet with live odds on every play with easy deposits and payouts. Go to sportsinteraction.com/coming-in-hot to open an account. Ontario only, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. I want to ask you about Linus. I know we ask you every time about Linus Ullmark. You are our goaltending guru, and you have I was going to say intimate knowledge, but people would take that the wrong way.
I have showered with him, so I don't know how intimate we're going to get.
Well, okay, so I'll leave it at that. What do you think of his game? And I'll preface this by saying the other day we just talked to him in the locker room again, and he's like basically my game is everything is up here, and he points to his he just continues to talk about the mental side of the game, and it seems to be a struggle. And I'm like, it has to be concerning. But I thought his game today was everything you needed it to be.
Yeah, you know, and again, sometimes you aren't offered the chance as a goalie to be the difference maker in a game, right? Sometimes you don't get 40 shots or you don't get to make 10 highlight reel saves. You can only control what you can control. And I think that's a great example of the game that he played today, right? I don't necessarily love, the first goal is what it is. I think that's just poorly played by Sanderson. I think he needs to contain him. Once Mishkov creates separation on Sanderson there, it feels like he tries to overcommit, and then Mishkov puts him in the blender. He ends up right in the slot. But the second one, I just don't understand how. I think Linus needs to be harder on that play, if that makes sense. I feel like he falls to his butt too easy. That's one where it's just you're a big, strong guy. I think he can defend the top of his crease a bit better. But then other than that, I thought he was rock solid. I thought he made some really good saves, timely ones. Again, it wasn't like he was a giant stud today. He didn't make a ton of top-notch saves, but it was a tough game. He kept this team in it, and I thought he controlled his rebounds well for the most part. Things to the outside. I know about traffic, he's had a little bit of trouble with traffic this year, worst numbers in the league when it comes to traffic. But again, I don't think that is a highlight of him individually. Is that a highlight of the Sens defensively more than it is your goaltending?
You're
in my personal opinion. Pardon?
Such a defender of the goalies.
I am, yeah. I think
it's the other guy's fault.
He's, and I think at times you get complacent, right? You have to compete to find pucks at the NHL level, right? But today he's just big and boring, and he gets the job done, and it's trending in the right direction, right? This is a goalie that has the accolades. He can get it done. And today's one where it's he definitely didn't steal a game, but he was part of the solution, right? He was good enough to get it done.
Justin, I'll get to your question in just a sec. I just want to finish up the Linus Ullmark part, and that's I'd like your opinion on the game-winning goal against Boston or versus Boston. And before you play it, Jake, I'm not a goalie. I was one when I was 9 years old. I was goaltender of the week at the UNB hockey school. But I think he moves slow on rebounds and just reactionary in general. Have you watched enough to tell me if I'm right or wrong?
Yeah, I think so. I think at times, when we talk about goaltenders that aren't as athletic, and I think Linus is very athletic, but I think at times he leaves people wanting more because when it looks bad, when he's off a bit, it looks so brutal. But when he is on, how easy a game it is too, right? So this is something that I struggle with because I was the opposite end of the spectrum. So if you're going to put Linus on this side of just guys that can make it look easy, I was the one almost at times I made it look harder than it needed to be because I was doing so much.
Yeah.
So I think at times on a play like that where on Zacha's goal, he's just sitting there, he gets confused, and it's like why the hell aren't you competing on that puck?
So can you play the goal? And then it looks to me like he just doesn't bother to track it. And I know I'm not seeing that right, but you tell me what I'm seeing.
So the only thing is on this view where when it comes down low, the puck hits. What I believe happens on this play, truthfully, is on the swing of the defense stick, it redirects the puck into his feet. So he is leaning. He's worried about the backdoor pass here by McAvoy, this is when it loops around to Zacha. And he gets caught drifting into the center of the ice. You can see right here on that swing how it hits his stick right there. I'm putting my mouse on the screen like you guys can see. But so that play right there. So he's worried about Zacha to begin with. Now his initial thought is see how his stick is turned? So he's trying to defend the slot, knowing that he's not going to get beat 5-hole. And he's made the read that he's trying to make that pass to Zacha. But as it redirects off that tip, now you're kind of in that, oh shit, scramble, don't move mode. And he just gets caught with a little bit of momentum pulling him the other way. it's not a horrible goal by any means, but what I would rather see there, truthfully, if we're breaking this down, Linus, if you'd watch on his glove side, is I would get my skate planted on that post and not be drifting. Because he ends up just in no man's land, right? Where you're trying to save a pass that hasn't happened yet.
Like, we watch the game and it looks simple when you see the overheads and the replays, and you're like the game is super fast. So I hear people, and I see people say it was a lazy goal or it was soft. I'm just trying to understand from a goalie point of view, is that soft at all? Is it leaky, or is it the game is pretty quick and any of us can try and not figure it out? Because
I honestly, truthfully feel like he just gets fooled off the redirection deflection by his defenseman as he goes long body and he swings his stick. Yeah. I believe he reads pass here and it deflects off that stick, or he hits his stick. And now all of a sudden, see how his head is like, he's starting to move to play Zacha on the pass out.
Yep.
Right. Because he's made the recognition that there's a threat here, and he's made the recognition that this is a pass. And then when it hits, it almost becomes a freeze where I'm just trying to stay in position and film that, and he loses the puck on it. It looks horrible, but you have to understand that, like, why he is successful is because he's never outside his post too, right? You'll never see Linus chase pucks outside his net. Yeah. What I would have rather seen here, see how his skate is outside. This is a great view. Hold it right here. If this skate is inside the post, this changes the whole play. Because what happens is when he pushes with that momentum, he drops into kind of no man's land, where if he can get his skate inside the post into RVH, reverse VH, we call it. I'm sure you've heard about it enough. Now he's planted. He has that post for stability, and then it's just a fall to the middle, and anything stays in front of you. Where once you get into this no man's land, it's trouble, in my personal opinion.
And if the puck does come out to McAvoy, to Zacha alone, like, he's got the one-timer stopped.
Yeah. And
he's already cheating. I'll say cheating enough over there.
But it looks way worse because this ends up in the back of the net, where if it gets to Zacha and he roofs it high blocker on you and you get beat, well, it's like, well, at least I didn't get beat by the bad one. So we talk about this a lot in goaltending in the NHL, is like playing percentages, in the sense of him, McAvoy scoring from this horrible angle. If he scores from here, it's like, hey, we got to get a new goalie, right? But if it gets backdoor to Zacha, it's like, well, I had my guy. Someone's got to help out in that sense. And I think sometimes in overtime, when the game really starts to open up 3-on-3, we start to cheat the game a little bit. And I think that's what happens here for Linus.
Do you also think maybe they shouldn't be like a 2-on-0?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's in the D zone. I think that gets like, that is a typical, again, I don't want to be like just goalie union guy, but it's like, how the hell does a 2-on-0 happen inside your hash mark in front of the net at any point? 3-on-3, like, it's just horrible defending too.
Linus Ullmark may have an HR complaint to file, like a legit complaint for sure.
On that one, for sure.
Be a meeting with Steve Stayouts. All right, here's the question from Justin. I'll throw this up here. Do you think the coaches are trying to get Spence's defensive game close to Jensen's game through observation and practices before putting him in Jensen's spot? I could see that happening. Thoughts? My first and initial thought, Justin Way, is thank you for the donation. B, no. I don't, and we've talked to enough former players and people around the game, and even Travis himself. I don't see Nick Jensen coming out of this lineup unless it is a injury to Nick Jensen where he says he can't play.
I do too. And I don't think he's a guy that's going to fall out of the lineup in that sense, right? I do think there is, what they're trying to do with Spence, and there's always going to be that, right? This is the tales all the time, Brent. You've covered the game for how many years? There's always the next guy coming, right? There's always a guy trying to take your spot, trying to take that opportunity. But I also think it's not going to be given to him too. I think, Jensen really has to lose it before Spence plays his way into it. Because I also think there's like that organic growth curve too, right? You have to just let it happen. You can't just force Spence into something that he isn't yet. And I think that's what we're trying to get to. But I just don't know if he's ready there yet at 24 with only 180 games played.
Here's the one issue, or the one defense I'll have of Jordan Spence, which is no pun intended, is he may be the fourth best skater on this team. And Ottawa's not blessed with natural skaters. Tim Stützle, Thomas Chabot, Jake Sanderson. I think that Jordan Spence is their fourth best skater. And that's why I'm like, you might need him in the lineup to move some pucks around.
100%. But
That's
I also
my
think,
only thing.
like, I guess my concern too is like Jensen is on still one more year at $4 million. Like it's going to be his spot. Like I just don't know when, right? When is the right time? Is it right now, the shakeup? Like you want Jensen committed to, not that Jensen's going to bail out if he gets, taken out of the lineup or where he's at, he's a pro. But I just don't know if it's right now to start doing that kind of shakeup this early in the season. I know it hasn't been like it's been a decent start, but in that sense, I just don't know if it's yet.
But there's also you've gone through the NHL world. Like Travis Green trusts Nick Jensen.
There's value there, right? And how many times do you see that? I don't know how many times I've been. There's like reliability and accountability, and if you know a guy, you go back to the well more often than not too, right? Like there's self-preservation involved in this. There's contracts. There's so many other things that are like important factors. Yeah. But I don't think Spence is a guy getting looked over. Like you talked about, like if you can't skate now, you can't really play. I still think he has a good spot and he's going to get there. I just don't know if it's right now forcing the issue.
Well, it's interesting because Carter, as you talk about guys coming, Carter Yakimchuk is waiting and he wants his spot. And I would suspect next year he's taking one of those right shot D spots. So we'll see how that plays out. There was lots to discuss. Dad strip, you brought that up, and I wanted to and before I forget, what's it like trying to play with? And I understand that dads, most of them see guys play throughout the year, and they've done it before, but it just seems like it's just an added distraction. For sure, it's an added distraction, but it's a good distraction too, right? Like it's something that's like awesome. I think there's a lot more pride in it. I think there's a lot more than just a normal game too, because something that does happen in the NHL is the emotion goes out of it at times, right? Like the best player, like you look at like Claude Giroux is a great player. Like there's not many guys like him who can play as fired up, as passionate for this many years into his career, right? Like the guys like him just don't exist. But then you have another alternative purpose is like the people who helped you get there are there, whether it's your mom, your dad, a mentor's trip. So I think there is that, but then there is the added pressure, added distraction. Like I talked about, there's always a team dinner and there's always a few more beers are had or a few more, a little bit later, you're out of your routine, which I think is healthy because we come so robotic at times, but it is concerning. I would love to know a breakdown of like father's trips records in the NHL. So all I can tell you is from this year to last year, Ottawa won. They went 1-1 last year and went 1-1 again this year. And not bad. I think on the mom's trip, I feel like they were 2-0. And the mom's bringing in a completely different vibe, obviously. Yeah. Right. It's just I do love it. Like I think of the times that, like I've spent with my son going and play hockey and whatever and watching and being able to experience that on a pro level and all that time together. That's a pretty cool moment because there's between like U18 hockey and the NHL, you don't see your kid, you don't get to drive them around, you don't get to do all that stuff. So spending that time is, I think, pretty cool. I just always wondered about I don't think Ottawa skated yesterday, had an afternoon game today, which is odd that you wouldn't skate the day before. They may have had a quick skate, but they went to Phillies Park. I forget whatever the Philadelphia Park is called, the baseball, and they went to the Lincoln Field, hung out. They did lots of that. That's pretty cool. It's just becomes a different time, right? And throws your game out of whack if you're a Claude Giroux type guy who likes routine. Yeah, me too. So, like, as you talk about that, what they did, I didn't know what they did with the families yesterday when the father's trip. It does throw your routine off too. And that's something that people ask me all the time, what's it like when you're done? It's like, well, it's nice not worrying about how long I've been on my feet for, right? Like there'd be times when I was playing, right? And we had a game the next day and it'd be like, my wife would be like, hey, we're going to go here. I'm like, well, I'm not going. Like, I can't be on my feet that long. But then like that kind of goes out the window, when you have a game the next day, you're trying to like manage. And again, like you talked about, there is guys that are creatures of habit, routine, and structure. So I do think it's another thing, a matinee game. The Flyers love their matinee games. It's a trickier game to get up for. It's a longer, quick turnaround. And again, I don't think it was their best performance. But that being said, they won
And at the end of the day, banking 2 points. At the end of the year, we're going to be looking at the standings, how many points they have, not how they did it, right?
So the Eastern Conference is mind-boggling to me now. 6 points going into today. 6 points separates first from 16th, and 3 points. Everybody out of the playoffs is within 3 points of being in the second wild card spot. That's just mind-numbing to me. And I know we're only 13, 14, 15 games in. That's still like it's a tight grind through there.
It is tight. You know, when you look at the points, you look at the difference of. It feels like more than ever now, though, in the NHL that we are up to speed quick with defensive checking, with accountability, with how tight these games are. This was always games like this and what we've seen a lot every single night with overtimes and shootouts and how tight games are. It felt like a second half of the season sort of style of play. And it seems like they're getting to it already, which is impressive, I think, for these younger guys we're seeing in the league. But that being said, it just goes to show you how well these guys are coached and they get to their games quickly. Because right now in this conference alone, like look at the Buffalo Sabres, 5-5-4. So if you take 2 of those wins or overtime losses and make them wins, then they're 7-5. There's a few more points. Like they're right in the playoff hunt. Where like if Buffalo loses a game, we're like, okay, well, let's fire Kevin Adams. Let's fire this. Like it's so fragile right now in the moment how tight it is, right? And then again, the other game today, Jersey and the Pens went to a shootout. Like that's 2 for 2 on the Saturday.
Right. The 3-point games are wild, but that always goes to show how tight the points are. We always say don't throw away points. Like you can't win the Stanley Cup in October, but you can lose it if you know. Like Jake, we can put the schedule up. I think Ottawa's got 9 games left before the American Thanksgiving, which is always that. Yeah, that's like artificial,
right?
Yeah, like 4 at home starts tomorrow. Play Utah, then Dallas, at Boston again, and then the Kings at home, and then it's that's it ends up being a 7-game road trip. That's a grind for them to go through that. It'll be interesting to see where they are after the Vegas game, and then it's the American Thanksgiving.
But do you not feel like that's a good team build trip too? Like when you look at last year and look at how
back-to-backs.
Yeah, like that World Junior trip last year, right? What was that, 11 games? And that was like a big heart chunk of their season. And that was when things were teetering, right? We didn't know where it was going, if they were going to be a playoff team, if they were. And then all of a sudden that was the difference maker. And out of that, it was, I think, a big changing, I don't know, I guess it was a transcendent moment of their season where then all of a sudden they're like, this team is legit.
They started to turn around November 24th or 27th, and it was out west. I think it was San Jose area, one of those games, and they turned it around. They were the 6th best team in the National Hockey League based on winning percentage or points percentage from November 27th on.
And it was that when Linus hurt his back, right? Didn't he leave with back spasms? And then, and that was like a big, huge turning point.
Yeah. So I think December 2nd in Edmonton? I know it was in Edmonton. I can't remember if it was the 2nd or not, but yeah. And then Ullmark came in and basically saved their season. I wonder if we see him tomorrow. I would think playing the Utah Mammoth in Ottawa, but Utah, that's a tough team.
It is a tough team. A quick turnaround. You get the matinee game today, which is nice. Tomorrow night is a night game. What time is tomorrow's game here? I'm trying to pull it. It's 7 p.m. So I still don't think you see him on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Because he's played now, right? Well, last time I was on, right? This is when you guys were making some outlandish comments about Ullmark not playing, right? I had to come on and set everybody straight. So he played, so I was correct. Now I guess I just don't think you play him back-to-back, just with the concern of what can happen, you know?
I thought you didn't remember anything.
I remember everything. That's why I have to now. This is my job, Wally.
He has played 13 of the 16 games. You got to find Lena. You got to find Marilyn in a spot.
And he hasn't played in a while too, right? Which is you're going to get action. You're going to be busy, which I think sometimes is better if you haven't played. That's why like tonight, Earson hasn't played in a little while.
Right.
So as the game rolls on, I guess the goalie in me and that side of it, I start putting myself in that situation. And not that like what I went through is going to be the same as what everyone else, because everyone processes the game differently. But I'm like, this is like the worst situation to be in if you're Earson, because you haven't seen any action in a while. You want to get in there and you want to be busy and you want to get through. So I think tomorrow would be like a better chance for Levi to get in and Marilyn to be busy. to have like a lot of action because Utah's probably going to bring it.
Levi Marinlinen hasn't played since October 27th versus Boston. Allowed 2 goals in a win against the Bruins. So we'll see how that plays out. Final thoughts before I let you go on this lovely Saturday afternoon. Do you think Ottawa may be? I'm concerned. I know they've now gotten points 4 straight. They're 2-0 but they've got to find a way to generate some offense. That's my one concern. Their power play is now 0 in the last 5 games. The penalty kill is 5 for 5 and 7 for 8 in the last 3 games. So they're getting some stuff done in the special teams on the penalty kill, but they got to find some power play goals here, I think.
I think so. I think when you look at this league 5-on-5, being able to produce is really important. You know what I mean? Because that is a big separator. But I guess I'm a glass half full too, Wally, in the sense of like the way they've played as of late and still finding a way to win hockey games and collect points is important too, right? Because these are valuable points. And I feel like the upside is still there. So I do think there needs to be some tweaks. There needs to be some, adjustments. When you look at the power play, you look at just generating 5-on-5. And I think today is a great example of it was ugly, right? But they found a way to win. So I think you take what you can from it and you try to move on. And I do think they are missing that Brady Tkachuk factor a lot. And I think it's starting to show in a game like today. Like a game like today, like how, in my personal opinion, I think Brady Tkachuk is a big-time difference maker against a good defensive team. Because he is a guy that's going to generate pucks in deep. He's going to pound you. He's going to make you pay. And then he's going to create more offensive zone time. He's going to create, that's just what he does. He's like the best in the world at it. And that's a big hole, I think, when you're playing a team like that. When they get in a run and gun game, I think they can play with anybody. But today, in that grind of a game, is I think is the day you really notice Brady Tkachuk not in that lineup.
All right. And with all due respect to Ridley Gregg, you're going to either say Brady Tkachuk is playing first line right, left wing, or Ridley Gregg is the guy, right? Like there's a massive difference.
Oh, yeah. That's like, nothing against Ridley Gregg. He's a player in his own right.
But he's
Brady Tkachuk is probably the best power forward in the world, right? Like he has literally defined himself these last few seasons as the biggest difference maker. The amount of body checks he throws, the chaos he causes in front of the net, and that's a huge hole.
However, does it go to the saying "good teams find ways to win"?
100%. Good teams find ways to win, and that's something that you're seeing right now, right? I think that's important. You could. That's what we do, right? We're in the business of analyzing and forecasting. It's still early, but these are points that you put away and you try to move on and you keep growing with you. I do think that Travis Green, he's not oblivious to it. Like it's concerning, right? But hey, this is a good run because it could be going the other way. How many times do you see teams play good hockey and not get results? And that's when it gets, that's almost more concerning at times too.
Because there were times earlier in the season, I think even during that 3-game losing streak, a bit, Travis Green would be like, "We played fine, like the penalty kill let us down or whatever." But he's like, 5-on-5, we're playing a really good game, and so you just didn't see the results. So that happens a lot of times. Last thing I have to ask for you, Jordan Binnington takes Alex Ovechkin's 900th puck. I just wanted to ask a member of the goalie union which side of the fence you're on this. Are you shocked by this? But there's no way you're shocked by it. What's your reaction to seeing your fellow goaltending colleague steal the puck, acquire the puck?
You know what? Honestly, in Binner's defense, he's been so well behaved for so long here. It's not very surprising. I guess I just don't get it. Truthfully, Wally, like, what do you do? Like, did you think they weren't going to be watching? Do you think they weren't going to ask for the puck back? I guess if you really, I brought it up the other day on our show on DFO Live. I said, if you really wanted to get it, like, why didn't you just take the puck and punt it into the stands and give some fan a souvenir that's maybe worth a few, I don't know, $100,000. I don't know what the puck would be worth, right? I guess what I love the story, how it got spun a little bit about, did he have another puck in there and was the puck switch kind of like the home run ball of the World Series? I love it. There's, maybe this is maybe there's layers to this, Wally. I just think it was stupid. Like you're a goalie, you got scored on. If you didn't want to get scored on, then don't get scored on. So it is what it is.
It's a nice goal too by Ovi.
Yeah, a rare one. Out all did you see Crosby chirping him the next night? And I like that.
I heard the chirp. Yeah. On a backhand too, eh?
Yeah. Out of all the goals he scored, on the back. Nifty play though. And again, I think Binnington was just sour grapes, but in Binnington's defense, he's been a good boy for a while. So he was due to do something dumb here.
Would you have ever considered or thought of it?
Doing that?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I could see in the heat of the moment being like blasting the puck or being, but I think like, no, for what it's worth, no big deal. Ovi got 9 on me in 6 games. I didn't do shit to him. So I don't know. He's sending me, I know he sent all the goalies those like beers that were like the 0% Budweiser. If you played against Ovi and you didn't get scored on, I'm like, what about the guys that gave up more per game than he played? Jesus.
You guys should be celebrated. If not for you guys, he doesn't get to 900.
I know. He used to be hard on me too, Ovi. I don't know why. Like he'd always come by and like chirp me, like give it like in Russian accent. I'd just be like, Ovi, I don't know what you're saying. Like, why are you chirping me, man? Like, I don't even know what my name is, pal. Take it easy. Wow.
Okay. I lied to you. I got a quick last question from Justin. How difficult is it to feel the puck beneath your pads?
You know what? Sometimes you get lost on tips and directions, but you know it's under your pads. We've seen so many reps, and it's so like you're so. What's the way? What's the proper way to explain this? Like at times a puck will get lost or tipped, and you like just don't want to move. But for the most part, you usually know where the puck is, and you like compete to find it. I think just because you've seen so many reps and so many thousands of shots, and over the years, usually you know when a puck is wedged underneath you or hidden somewhere,
or it's leaking back.
Yeah, or it's leaking through you. Like it's a helpless feeling at times because you don't want to move. I remember one time I had a penalty shot against Dananoff. I was in Buffalo and Linus was my partner, and it leaked through my arm and then rolled down my pad and like off my skate and then like in the net, like slow motion, right? But in the moment, it was like, and I remember getting crucified. Just like I know what we're doing here, right? We're hard on Linus about loose pucks and not tracking pucks. But again, being stable and square and not over moving. Sometimes guys that over move create their own problems. So I don't think this is like a pandemic. I don't think this is something for him to worry about. Like it's going to be, I don't even know if that's the right word, pandemic, to use in this time, but you know what I mean? Like epidemic, is that more isolated? Epidemic?
I don't know, Dr. Hutton.
I don't know, but I just think this is that concerning. Like I don't think this is a hot button issue. I also think the reason why he is successful is because if you watch him play, he never gets outside his posts. He never beats himself. Where like you watch certain goalies, not to name names, guys that like are over aggressive, they end up chasing the game a lot more than Linus Ullmark ever will.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate your time. I know for now that you will probably not answer my text messages in the next 2 months.
No. I'm always here. I got the mug now. It's different. You're
in a selective group. Yeah. I appreciate your time, Carter. We'll catch up soon, but thanks for stopping by.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me as always.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll chat with you on Monday.
You've been watching Coming in Hotter, your home for Sens post-game coverage all season long. We're live after every game. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show.